And then, like I said, you can come to a comfortable seat. You can lie down. You can take a supported pose, or you can start to do any kind of movement. I'm just going to kind of move us into a sort of a space where we can cultivate samadhi through the other virtues. And so you can, again, find however you want to experience that. If you're seated, you can allow the eyes to close. You can start to deepen your breath. You can start to rock, or just sit nice and tall. Take some really good breaths in. Inhale through the nose wherever you are, and exhale out the mouth. And then again, take a breath in through the nose and out the mouth. One more time, big breath in and out. And then let the eyes close. Whether you're sitting, reclining, moving, let the eyes close. And just feel the body. Feel the space you're in here and now. Let yourself arrive for your practice. For a moment, honor your seat. Honor the faith you have in showing up to your yoga practice, showing up to breathe and move and stretch. Honor the confidence that we build through coming to the mat, coming into this space. And as we arrive here in our yin practice today, in our bodies, in our breath, I want to invite you to remember a time that you were doing something that you love. And it could be cooking or writing, maybe cleaning, maybe painting, maybe meditating, maybe doing yoga, maybe swimming. It can be anything, but something that you love. And remember a time that you were so immersed in that experience that you completely lost track of time. You were immersed in that experience, and then suddenly you realized that an hour had passed, 2 hours had passed, 3 hours had passed, but you were so conscious and present and absorbed in this activity that everything else fell away. And it can be something from your childhood, it could be something from yesterday, from last week. We've all had that experience doing something we love where for a little while, everything else fell away and we were just completely absorbed. Time stood still, nothing else mattered. You were so present in this space, in this activity. Let yourself smell it, feel it, taste it, sense it, call it into your being. This is a samadhi experience. Samadhi is the goal state of yoga, and while there are certain practices and steps and tools we can take to create the space to experience samadhi more frequently, more consistently for longer periods, we've all had a samadhi experience because it means total absorption. Now, this is not a situation where we're inebriated or otherwise in an unconscious state, because it's very much about being fully conscious and present with a task, with a goal. And so most of us, once we feel into samadhi this way, once we know that we actually have experienced this goal state of yoga, we again build that faith and confidence and mindfulness that we can create it. And so as we start to move into our sequence tonight, you can allow these other aspects to guide you, remembering faith in the body, confidence in your practice, and that remembrance that you absolutely have experienced being totally immersed and absorbed in the moment. And maybe that will happen during the practice, maybe it won't, but we are opening and creating and invoking the space for samadhi. Take another big, big breath in through the nose. Open mouth, let it go. And then wherever you are, you can place your hands at your heart or on your body and just bow in. And we invoke this experience of samadhi through a sound of Om. If you'd like to join in, or you can just listen, take a deep breath. Om. And release your hands. We'll make our way into child's pose. So if child's pose isn't appropriate for you, you can lie on the back and hug the knees to chest, or you can do a standing forward fold hanging over the legs. The part of Samadhi for me is sort of releasing the outside world and really becoming immersed with my inner space, especially when I'm allowing my practice to be that Samadhi journey. So in child's pose, the knees can be wide, big toes together. You might put a blanket under the knees or support under your forehead or your chest. You can always stack your palms to place the forehead down or just relax on the forearms. You can add any kind of rocking or shifting, but allowing this pose of wisdom, balasana, child's pose, we place the head below the heart. And again, we awaken the potential for absorption, for immersion. And as we move through the practice, if you find yourself getting distracted or irritated or frustrated, maybe come back to that remembrance. We talked about that last week with smriti. That's the value right before samadhi, right? That remembrance of a time you were immersed in a task that you love, in a practice that you love. Other ways that we just start to create samadhi is we choose our focus, which might be the breath. It might be the body part we're opening. And you just focus on that and breathe into that. And slowly everything else falls away. There's no right or wrong way to experience samadhi, but we just create the space. So slow, steady, mindful breath. Just noticing again, what comes up, come back to just placing your attention on the body, the breath, or the remembrance of a samadhi experience. And it takes practice. We're so easily pulled in all directions, distracted by so many things, but to create that samadhi space, we have to really allow ourselves to just be with our focus, be with the choice that we're making for our attention. Take another big, big breath in. Open mouth, let it go. And if you're in child's pose, we're just going to gently lift up to all fours, knees under the hips, and then stick the sit bones up coming into puppy dog. And you can always come back into child's pose. Otherwise, we shrug the shoulders on the back, place the forehead down. The elbows can soften down or keep the elbows lifted. Draw the belly and sit bones up. And again, if this is not appropriate for you, you could always do a downward dog or a wall dog, which is done standing, hands to the wall, and then walking the hips back. So it's like you're in a 90-degree angle, pressing into the wall. But just gently continuing to keep the focus inward, but coming into the heart a little bit. We'll do a little bit of everything today. Starting with the heart, the shoulders, the upper back. Stay with the breath or feeling where in the body the sensation is, breathing deeper into that space. Again, coming back time and time again to just the experience of the body, the breath, or that samadhi felt sense. One more breath here. Sigh it out, sink into the heart a little bit more. And then if you're in all fours, you're going to keep your toes tucked, walk your hands up, and shift back for broken toe pose. So we'll have the feet, the knees about hip width distance, the toes tucked. You can always have a blanket under the knees. Tucking the toes, hands can be on the thighs, or you can always have blocks or props by your sides. Again, if this is not appropriate, you can always be standing and then 1 foot at a time, just tuck the toes under and try to bring that weight, or even you can bring the top of the foot down and stretch the feet this way. So if you can't be on the knees, you can play with tucking the toes or pushing the tops of the feet down, from standing. But if you're able to sit back on your heels, tuck all 10 toes under. And for a lot of us, we have to put the hands on something and to support it. But if your hands are just resting at your thighs, you can kind of feel into opening up the neck a little bit. Not so much that we distract from the feet, but just to keep the breath moving through the body. So just keep that attention in the body, whether it's in 1 foot, both feet, the feet and the neck. Soften the gaze. Big breaths in and out. Keep breathing wherever you are. Just find a place you can be present, breathe, focused on the sensation, on the breath. Take another big inhale. Exhale it out. Try to bring the head back to neutral if you were doing anything in the upper body. Another breath in. And then if you're in broken toe, place your hands down, shift back into ragdoll, or if you're standing, you can shift into ragdoll. Separate the feet about hip width distance or shoulder distance is fine if your legs are tight. You can always put blocks under the hands, or you can fold over a chair or a bed. You can also bend the knees a lot. And settling here, you can continue to sort of shake the head out and shift the weight, or just get really still as we allow the back body to open, the blood flow to reverse. You might also, again, explore the closer the feet are, the further away they are, it changes the ragdoll. So just again, focus all your attention on the experience of this pose, the immersion into this shape. Standing forward fold. There's also some options of sliding your hands under your feet to wake up the wrist, step on the wrist. You can also clasp the hands behind the back and add the shoulder stretch. Or again, you just stay still, your hands on the blocks or on the bed. So for some of us, we access samadhi more through movement, like dancing, painting, coloring. For others, it's, sitting and meditating, being very still. And so a lot of times that's what we think. We think, oh, I can only experience that if I'm sitting in meditation for an hour. But actually, for some of us, it's more about movement, more about exploring the body, the breath, our creativity. But other times it really is about that still, quiet place. Samadhi's personal. For each one of us, it's going to bring us into that absorption, and immersion is different. We can take the same steps to get there, but we're all going to have our journey. So what is your journey right now in your Uttanasana? What are you experiencing right now to bring you absorbed into this shape? Big breath in. Exhale it out so you can release your hands, relax your hands if they were anywhere else. Just folding over the legs. We're going to shift into lizard pose on the right side. So from your Uttanasana, you might walk the right foot forward, or if you're at the top of the mat, you can step back. Once again, if it's not appropriate to be on your knees, you could lie on the back and take half happy baby with the right leg, and I'll demo that in a moment. But otherwise, we have the left knee down. I recommend putting support, either a blanket for more gentleness, or you can use a block for more intensity under the back knee. The right knee is forward with the right foot to the edge of the mat. You can take blocks or pillows inside the right leg and maybe place your hands or your forearms. So this is our lizard pose. If you want more in the hips, you can turn that right foot out. You can begin to open up the right hip. Those of us, again, where it's not appropriate to be on the knee, if you come onto your back, you can bend the right knee, draw the thigh in towards the ribs, so you're holding the hamstrings as you pull that right thigh towards the mat, press the right foot up, and if you want more, you can extend the left leg out. You can also hold the outside of the foot. So less intense, but similar opening in the body. And if you extend that left leg and push that left heel down, you'll get a little bit of that psoas on the left side. So that's an option there too. Otherwise, you're in your lizard. And you can just settle in here, breathing deep. There is a little exploration. You can take the right hand to the right thigh and open the chest here, get a little twisted lizard. You can also point the left toes, draw the heel in, and then take either the left or the right hand to hold the foot for the quad stretch. But again, be mindful of when it's an exploration of movement or when it's a distraction. If there's a place that you can really breathe deep and drop into it, maybe allow yourself to stay there. But sometimes if we're feeling really squeamish, just adding a little bit of movement can bring us into that space where we can settle and absorb. So again, very personal, and obviously being in the hips, being in the hip flexors and the psoas, potentially the quads or the chest. A lot of things happening, very personal. So just whatever you can do to stay here in this space, in the breath, in the experience. Letting yourself receive. Few more slow breaths. So when you can, slow down the breath, right? When we start to lose that presence, right? The breath is one of our first tools. We breathe, again, maybe come back to that space of feeling absorbed, knowing we can, and then what's going on with the sensations? How can we focus fully here and now? Big breath in. Exhale, can you let go a little bit more? And staying as present as you can with the sensations, we're going to start to move to the other side. So usually when we've done an asymmetrical pose like this, we want to sort of take our time to come back. If you're in lizard, you might walk the foot back over to the lunge, and then for a moment you can extend the leg for half Hanuman. If you're on your back, you can extend the right leg straight up for a similar stretch. So it can be really nice as we come out of that hip opener to pause for a moment, open the hamstrings. And if that's not appropriate for you, you can just come into child's pose or knees to chest or any other movement. Otherwise, again, just taking a few breaths to transition from the hip opener, nice and slow. Maybe getting a little bit more into the back and the hamstrings with our half Hanuman or the holding the leg on our back. Like I said, at any point, this is too much, you've had enough, you can transition through hugging your knees in, child's pose, forward fold, movement. Just a few more breaths into the calf and the hamstring. And then if you're in that, you can start to, like I said, make your way into something neutral, something symmetrical. If you're on your knees, you can do cat-cow, child's pose, a downward dog. Sometimes between more intense poses like that, it is nice to do a little bit of movement. Or if you were on your back, same thing, just kind of rocking side to side. And then we're going to carefully, mindfully start to shift to the left side. So however you want to bring that left foot forward or that left knee in if you're on your back. So the back knee is down in lizard, the right knee is down, maybe on some support. Hands inside the left leg, or we're on our back with that left leg in half happy baby. And just being mindful. So if you're in lizard, if you put a blanket or pillow under the back knee, it's going to make it more gentle. If you put a block, it's going to make it more intense. Listen to the body. So each side is different. What felt good on that other side might not feel good here. So honor that. What brings us into absorption on one side, again, not the same on the other side. If you're in lizard, you can try rotating to the left or bringing that right heel in for the quad stretch. Or again, if you're on your back and half happy baby, you might play with extending the right leg, grounding the heel, and keeping the knee bent. Deep breath, stay present. Breathe into the sensations, the emotions. Sometimes, again, our yoga practices, some of these poses, it feels like we're in them for 2 seconds, and others, it feels like we're in them for like an hour, like each pose, right? And so, time is an illusion. A lot of it is just the perception of our mind. And so much of yoga is having a relationship with our perception, how we use the mind, how the mind functions, how it fluctuates, and how we get to choose our attention. We get to choose to be open to samadhi, to this goal state of yoga, of experience. And try to just listen to your body, listen to your breath. Maybe move a little, add a little wiggle, a little pulse. See if you can explore the stretch mindfully with faith and confidence in your body, in your practice. Big, big breath in. Sigh out here. And as I said before, as we come out of this, you want to be really mindful. So if you want to add the hamstring stretch, if you're in lizard, you can start to walk the left foot center and then extend the leg, press the hips back, drawing the toes towards the face. If you're on your back, just extend that left leg straight up, holding behind the thigh or calf or using a strap or any kind of support. But it's a nice way to kind of release that opposite hip flexor and then kind of give a little more love to the back and hamstring and calves. Take your time to get there, or like I said, just as before, if this isn't comfortable or appropriate, just let yourself come to a neutral position, moving or pausing, resting. And another big, big breath in. And then slowly start to come out. If you are on all fours, down dog, child's pose, or movement, if you're on your back, knees to chest, doing any kind of rocking or rolling. And I would like to ask you to come up and take a seat on the right side. So with the knees stacked, so the right shin facing the top corner of the mat, the knees stacked or the top leg behind. And then if you have a blanket, you could stack a couple blankets, a bolster, pillow, you want to bring that straight out in front of that right thigh, lengthwise. And so with the knees either stacked or the top leg behind, take your left hand to your left shin and then reach your right arm up and overhead. And you can also hold behind the head. So just gently open the side body here, draw the belly in. So again, knees stacked, your left leg behind. Try to ground through that right hip as you lift up and over towards the left. Soften the jaw. And then slowly start to bring it up. Take your hands on either side of your bolster, pillows, blanket, so your chest is facing the support. Lengthen up, big inhale. Exhale, walk yourself forward to your forearms, and then lower your forehead or your, lower your right cheek down, your facial cheek. And then if you want more in the neck, you can turn your head to the right. Again, knees can be stacked or top leg behind. We just still wanted to spend a little time in some supported poses here for Samadhi too. This is one of my favorite twists, and it's great for the upper body as well as the back. So just letting yourself breathe here. Slow it down. Soften your jaw, your face, close your eyes. Just feel into the breath. Deep belly breath. Big breath in and let it go. Just as before, stay in that absorbed space as you start to lift up. You might come back to that side bend, left hand to the left ankle or shin, right arm overhead. And then when you're ready, you can lift up and you can either come right to the other side, or some people like to pause in the middle and stretch back or move. And we'll just take our time to bring the left thigh forward, knees stacked or right leg behind. Grounding to that left hip as we lengthen, and the right hand now to the ankle or shin. Left hand to the base of the skull as you reach up and over, or left arm overhead. Gaze can be down or center, opening the side body, drawing the belly in. And then slowly lift it up, lengthen the spine, turn your chest towards your props, walk down to the forearms, and then turn that left ear down. Or if you want more in the neck, turn the right ear down. Breathing up and over into our supported twist. Eyes soft or closed, nowhere to go, nothing to do. Just being immersed here and now, the breath, the body, the sensation, the emotion, fully present here and now. This heightened state of awareness is samadhi. This heightened state of presence is samadhi. Take another big breath in. Sigh it out. You're laying over the props. You can walk yourself up. Maybe take the right hand to that right shin and stretch the left arm over again. Lift yourself back up and turn forward onto your bottom. You can keep your props there if you want, but we're going to bring the soles of the feet together. So if you need to sit up on a blanket and just to neutralize the pelvis or sit up against anything, soles of the feet together, press the feet together, hold on to your ankles, lift up through the spine, let the thighs weight down. You can also put blocks or support under your thighs. And then when you're ready, lift up and draw the heart forward. And so if you were using props for your twist, you can always stack those on the feet. Relax the forearm or the forehead. Just taking our butterfly, our bound angle. Once again, turning in as we release the back, as we release the hips, neutralize the spine. Can create that space of introspection, which is where we immerse in the present, in the breath, in the body. And see if you can let everything else go by staying with the breath, with your experience here or that experience of another samadhi state, letting that be part of the now. Big belly breath in and sigh it out. Slowly, slowly start to roll up. You can keep the feet together and again do a little rocking or shifting, or if you have props on the feet, you can move it to draw the knees in. We're heading to final relaxation. So when you're ready, you can lie on the earth in Shavasana. You could take the legs up the wall or up the bed if you want a little inversion, a little mild inversion. Or if you want to lie over your props or pillows, or once again, just sit in meditation. Sit in meditation and focus on the breath. So samadhi is this advanced state of awareness, and yet some of us can go there effortlessly when we allow ourselves to be immersed in our passion, our joy, our presence. We've all had those moments where time hasn't mattered and we've just been so absorbed, and we feel like that, that's not the same thing, or, that's not the same thing as what like a sage or a saint or a monk or someone, and it's true, they have different goals, they have different immersions that they're working towards, but it's not any less of a samadhi state. And once we're aware of that, and we're also aware that there are steps and tools and practices to experience that more frequently, we can continue to work on it. The idea being that more and more through our day, we're just present, we're fully conscious, we're absorbed in the moment and in the practice. So we create the space. Sometimes it flows, sometimes it doesn't. But every time we try, we develop that faith and confidence, and we remember that we have access to these tools. And so for these next few moments, maybe you can surrender and absorb, maybe not, but just honor that you've created the space, the invitation. Let everything else go. Please, if you are immersed in relaxation, stay here as long as you can. And if you are ready to return, I'm aware of your breath. I'm aware of where you are mentally, emotionally, your sense of the now. You can bring movement back. You could roll to one side. Trying to stay soft, absorbed. Take all the time you need to perhaps come to sit. You can place your hands at your heart or on your body in a way that feels grounding. Honor yourself for showing up, for allowing yourself to know that you are more than capable of experiencing absorption and immersion, and that you are more than capable of these tools and steps and practices that support that space. We'll finish with a final sound of Om. Take a big inhale. Om. I bow to you all. Thank you for practicing. Hope to see you soon. Thank you so much.